Hey, what's up, everybody? So I'm coming to you today with an opinion piece. This is going to be on the possibility of Canelo Alvarez against Charlo to take place in December. Now, I did one on Canelo and Triple G a few days ago, released it. That got a lot of hits, so people obviously into that. I did mention on that one that I think Charlo and Triple G are the real possibilities for the month of December. But I'm going to explain to you why I think Charlo is a real possibility, just Charlo, and why I really want to see this fight and why it makes sense from a lot of different standpoints. Now, again, guys, if you like my page, like my channel, give me a thumbs up. Thumbs down if you don't. I appreciate any kind of feedback. You think I'm wrong, that's fine. If you agree with me, great. Whatever. I appreciate any kind of feedback, comments. Subscribe to the channel if you're really into it. But because I do bust out a lot of content on here, and I try really hard to take it, and I really love it. I'm really passionate. So anyway, let's get into the Canelo Charlo fight now. So the reason why I think this fight's possible for December, for a couple reasons. First off, Canelo announced that he wants to fight in December. He wants to be very active. He wants to fight 4 times this year. Now we know he's fighting Avni Yildirim a little over a week from now, about a week and a half, on Saturday, February 27th. Then he's going to follow that up, likely in May, barring injuries, likely in May, and a loss, of course, he would take on Billy Joe Saunders. That's part of a 2-fight deal with Matchroom, and Matchroom has DAZN as their platform to show fights. So Canelo going to be on DAZN for his next 2 fights. But he doesn't have a contract past that with anybody. And Canelo has been a free agent after he got out of that long-term DAZN contract. And I don't think Canelo's going to be signing up for any long-term deals with anybody going forward. I think Canelo's going to do short-term contracts or 1 fight at a time contracts. But I really believe that he might be able to get Showtime to, Canelo obviously likes to have his opponents lined up. And if he's going to fight in September and then follow that up in December, I think he's going to want to have a good idea of who that's going to be. Now, I think if Charlo returns to action, say in June, and is dead set, and takes on a decent opponent, gets a nice win, it could very well be Charlo that Canelo's looking at, for December. It could very well be that. I think it's very possible. Now, of course, I think Triple G is possible as well, but, Triple G, Canelo might wait until May of next year to fight Triple G on, Cinco de Mayo weekend in May of next year to fight him for a 3rd time. That would be Triple G's likely 6th fight on his, contract with DAZN, and he can ride off into the sunset. Even if he were to win, he's there to sign a new contract if he were to beat Canelo, and if not, hey, they're done with it, and they close it out with a major fight, and that's the fight that DAZN wanted anyways at the beginning of Triple G's $100 million 6-fight deal that he signed. So that, I think, makes a little bit more sense. But, I mean, that very well could take place in December also. But, again, back to Charlo. The reason why I think it could be Charlo is I think Canelo is into signing short-term 2-fight deals now. I think that's going to be the new norm for him. I think the template of signing the long-term contract, I think Canelo is seeing how that failed, especially with some of the writing in the contracts, DAZN, the reason why that fell apart was because DAZN said they wanted top-tier fighters, and Canelo felt like he was choosing top-tier fighters, but it wasn't the type of top-tier fighters that DAZN wanted. So that made them go back and forth, and it made Canelo want to get out of the contract because he felt like they were violating the deal, and he wasn't able to fight because of it. Now, also, when you have a long extended contract like that, you're going to get the platform upset, and they could stall you out and not approve your fights. And that could stall your contract, your career. That could shorten things up, and make it a very long time before you can get into the fights that you want. You can get them upset at you, like Triple G's, where they're upset because they don't feel like they're getting the return on their investment, So I think when Mayweather signed that 6-fight deal with Showtime years ago, they had, of course, Mayweather's huge name, so they were able to pull off and make money off of it, but they almost had to do a couple that, they had to have some 2 major fights in there, because they guaranteed Floyd $32 million guaranteed per fight. That was the minimum he was making. So, and when he fought Robert Guerrero in the first one, that didn't make that much money. They actually lost money on that fight, but they had to pay him his minimum. Then when he fought, so Canelo was brought in for the second fight on the contract, made ton of money right there. That really brought everything back, But then he fought, I believe, back-to-back fights with Marcos Maidana after that, and that fight didn't do. Those fights didn't do so well. So here comes Pacquiao that brought all the money back. And he was able to close out with Andre Berto, and that was it. But they needed those big fights to fulfill the contract and everybody be happy. And I think Canelo's going to start setting a trend, at least for the top tier fighters, that they don't have to sign these long-term contracts, because look at Crawford and his long-term contract and re-signing over and over with Top Rank. It's biting him in the ass. It is. It's just, it wasn't a good deal. Crawford, his career is wasting away fighting for Top Rank and ESPN because he can't, they won't get together and make the fights with ESPN. So, I really feel that Canelo really wants to continue these 2-fight deals is what is going to be his norm. Whether he fights 2 times, 3 times a year, I think he's probably going to get back to the 2 times a year thing. And when he does that, it's like, hey, this year is going to be DAZN. This year I'm going over to the PBC. And right now, those are realistically the only 2 promotions with Matchroom Eddie Hearn and the PBC that I think Canelo's going to go for. He's not going to go re-sign with Golden Boy, but Golden Boy is with DAZN anyways. But I don't think he's going to re-sign with Golden Boy at all. He might fight a Golden Boy fighter, but I don't think, and that might be a 1-fight deal like a Jaime Munguia, but I don't believe he's going to go back to Golden Boy. And then Top Rank and ESPN doesn't make any sense because they don't have a lot of top dogs at 150, at 160 and 168. They got some guys at 175, but for the time being, Canelo's not interested in moving up to 175. So I really believe it's either going to be DAZN and the PBC, and Caleb Plant's with the PBC. That would be the first fight of the contract. If Charlo is successful against whoever and looks good, I think it's very possible Canelo could be like, hey, I want Charlo for my second fight of the deal. Charlo's willing to move up in weight to fight him. It's a money fight. It's a, Charlo will sell the fight. He's got a big mouth. He likes to talk a lot of trash. Canelo would like that. That would motivate him. And it's a big fight. It really is a big fight right now to get Charlo in the ring. So I think the fight makes a lot of sense for December. You get a 2-fight deal. You get 2 pay-per-views. And, and I think that's a good template. You want to see how many pay-per-view buys you can bring in. Because Charlo's a big name, but is he a Triple G? No. Is he one of those guys? No. But you can see if he doesn't do very well with Caleb Plant and pay-per-view buys with Showtime or Fox, he might, with Charlo, he might be able to make up for that and get paid. And I think he's going to get paid. I think Canelo, has a possibility to make over $30 million for the 2-fight. I think Showtime, if he talks to them and say, I'll do a 2-fight deal with you guys, I want over $30 million per fight, I think they would pay it in a heartbeat. I think Showtime, which is owned by CBS and all that stuff, so I don't have any doubt that they would pay that money. And again, Charlo would want the fight, Canelo would want the fight. I think Canelo would. Excuse me. It's a winnable fight, and personally, and I'll tell you right now, Canelo gonna whip Charlo's ass if they fight. That's just gonna happen. So why not see it? Why not see Canelo shut him up? And Charlo wants to go for it. He says he's ready for the big boys. I think he is. I don't think he's ready for Canelo, but hey, there's no higher place you're gonna fight between 160 and 168. So that's just my opinion. Those are the reasons why I think this fight is very possible for the month of December. It would be on Showtime or Fox pay-per-view, and I really, really think it could happen. So that's it. Canelo versus Charlo, possibly for December. Hope you enjoyed this. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.